Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our call. We have Elise Arancio, the composer, with us. Where are you right now, Elise?
I'm in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay, very nice. And Maya Buchanan, violinist. And Maya, where are you?
I'm in Rapid City, South Dakota.
Okay, and Tim Petrin, painter and also cellist, who will be featured as a performer on a later symposium. So Tim is in Greece, right?
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
in
I'm home.
Thessaloniki?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, very nice. So we have an international cast today. So I'm so looking forward to hearing this week's symposium premiere, and I wanted to start by asking Elise. So this week is a little special because you chose to work with not only a painting but also the poem by E. E. Cummings. So can you tell me a little bit about why you selected those two together?
Yeah, so I first selected the poem, just kind of browsing through all of the different items that were available to choose from. E. E. Cummings is my favorite poet, and I think I kind of write a little bit too much based on his poems, but I really connect with them, and especially this one, because when I read it, it to me made a lot of sense kind of in this time period when we talk about connection between people who might be separated by distance. And the painting, actually, I saw it and immediately I was kind of able to draw a parallel. Just in the sense of, in the poem, it talks a lot about kind of like I carry the heart with me, just kind of the idea of carrying someone that you love with you. So I was kind of drawn to like the almost symmetrical aspect of the painting and just the idea of one thing also being the composition of another thing, and just kind of the relationship between those two things. So that's just kind of how I drew the two together, and also kind of the figure in the middle of the painting held a lot of ambiguity as far as its like relationship to the background, and yeah, it's they both just kind of went together in my head. So
So do you mind if we take a look at the painting right now? I'm going to share my screen. One second. Okay, does everyone see that?
hmm
So Elise, say a little bit more about the sort of this symmetrical aspect, or what drew you to this painting.
yeah, so it's not quite symmetrical, but the the kind of composition of the two sides, the lines, just how they use the same kind of material basically, but form different impressions. And then just the kind of the center figure kind of acts as like the mirror point a little bit. I mean, it's not obviously exactly symmetrical, but that's just kind of how I perceived it. And with the lines within the figure as well.
So Tim, in your introduction to this painting, Vision and Unfolding, you speak a little bit about how you were inspired by Philip Glass's violin concerto to create this piece. And through my conversations with painters throughout this whole symposium, we've been hearing a lot about how they listen to music while they're painting or they're inspired by tango. So can you speak a little bit more about that intersection for you?
Yeah, of course. I always listen to music when I'm about to play, when I'm about to paint, I mean. And sometimes when I paint, music comes to my ears. So it's always like this kind of relationship. I think that is innate in our, minds as human beings, that we have the ability to relate two things together. And I think that colors and sounds can create the same sort of impact, and it can influence us in a very uh, deep and emotional way. For example, when I was young, I would listen to something and I immediately hear colors. I would see colors, not like physically, but in my mind, I would imagine what kind of color would that be. Uh, this kind of thing happened to me back in 2015 when I uh, drew and painted this painting. I was in Curtis in the dorms and listening to Philip Glass, and just suddenly I had this image in my mind. I don't know how. I really don't know. I think it was the moment of inspiration or something, and I think it kind of reflects the music, because the music is very minimalistic and but also very powerful and very direct. And this can be traced and related probably to the fact that there are these lines that are very minimalistic, but they can create sort of a very how to say, strict and powerful emotion while saying it. Yeah, sure. I think that the relation between music and art is evident and very clear.
And can I ask what type of paint you were using for this work specifically?
Sure. Yeah. So the lines are charcoal pencil, and the red and black part in the bottom of the painting is oil painting. Is oil paint. So it's a combination of two techniques, which has its own effect. I've never done it before in any other of my paintings. It's the first time I did this kind of thing, and I think it works pretty well.
Yeah, I think it's a really gorgeous painting and really powerful in the way that it directs you towards the figure in the center, as Elise was saying. So, do you mind if we take a quick look at the poem now and kind of look at this juxtaposition? So, let me figure out how. Okay, here we go. Oh, wait. Here we go. Does everyone see that?
Yep.
Okay. So, I actually submitted this poem, and I think, as I mentioned earlier, this is the first poem to be featured in the symposium. And so I'm so excited that you chose this, Elise, because you're trailblazing by involving both a painting and a poem. And this is one of my favorite poems. And I know, Elise, E. E. Cummings is one of your favorite poets, right? You mentioned that to me earlier. So you mentioned that you've worked with his poetry before. Does that mean you've written music based on his poetry?
Yes, I've written music based on it, and I've also set it for different art songs. Yeah.
Okay. And what is your process for setting a poem to an instrumental piece of music, or like looking at a poem for inspiration in an abstract, for an abstract musical form?
I think with E. E. Cummings' poetry specifically, it just goes very well with my own kind of musical style and the way that I conceptualize a piece. I generally am able to kind of grab on to different phrases and just kind of envision a piece of music, essentially. Like some people are really more so inspired by like art or like other pieces. And like generally, I feel like words have that effect for me when I'm composing. I just am really easily inspired by them, and E. Cummings' poetry is just always so colorful and kind of provocative in my mind, of different musical gestures. It's also very gestural poetry, and my music tends to be very gestural, so it just kind of goes hand in hand, I think.
So if there was like one line or a word in this poem that specifically inspired this piece, I know this is very reductive, but is there a particular phrase or gesture in the poem that you were thinking about?
Yeah, actually. So I think the most kind of obvious would be the piece is in 3 movements. And the first is the root of the root, the second is the bud of the bud, and the third is the sky of the sky. So that's in the third stanza. And that was kind of all based on the line, wherever you go, I go. So yeah, it's pretty much based on that line and just kind of that idea of carrying someone you love with you.
That's really beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. So I'm going to stop our share now and go back. Okay, I can see all of your lovely faces. So Maya, what was this process like for you? Have you worked with Elise before on a premiere?
Actually, yes. I've played a couple of her pieces. I think they were both premieres, both of the times that I did her pieces. But this has been definitely a new experience for me, just, I mean, for many reasons. One, of course, because it's during the pandemic. And so, you know, we're not able to work together. And so we've been, you know, video chatting and like just kind of texting about it. And it was also sort of interesting for me to see sort of her process more up close, because she was sort of sending me the movements as she wrote them. So that was sort of fun for me too, to sort of see the timing and like, you know, how she was thinking about things. So that was pretty cool too. And also that it is based off of a poem and this painting were also both sort of guiding for me in a way when learning the piece too. So I had a lot of resources, I feel like, when learning this piece. So yeah, it's definitely been a new experience for me, but it's been fun.
Well, I can't wait to hear it. And I wanted to thank all of you for contributing your talent and your art and your ideas through this platform, because I think it's really important right now to collaborate in whatever way we can. Um, those are all the questions I actually have for you. So this was kind of a brief call, but is there anything else that I missed that you'd like to add?
Thank
Just,
you. Thank you for having us.
yeah, thank you. Thank you so much
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much.
for
This was great.
having
I can't
us.
wait to hear it, and I know our viewers are really excited as well. So thanks a lot. Let me
Thank